Give me what?
We are talking about the 2016 horror movie Patient. This one's directed by Jason Sheedy, and the story tells of a paraplegic woman who is in hospital after a gunshot wound. Now, as it turns out, she was involved in some kind of cult which had a ritual sacrifice, but she didn't quite die, and therefore she's in the position that she's in. However, she is menaced by spirits of those who have committed suicide and who kind of want her to essentially die or give up the soul of her young nephew in exchange for her freedom. And she's menaced every night by some ghastly ghouls, all of which kind of want to tempt her and kind of coerce her into making a decision. But that's not all. They've also cursed her. If anyone actually hears her voice, they instantly die in a very horrible and violent manner. So she can't communicate with anyone really, and she's visited by her brother and her young nephew, nurses, etc. So I've got to say, I like this movie. This was a good original horror film, and I don't remember a premise quite like this one before. There's probably been a few similar films, but not exactly the same as this. This was quite a nice change of pace, and it is a slow-moving film, but it's not that. It's a decent amount of atmosphere and scares. So let's talk about what worked here. This is a lower budget film, and it was only shot in about 18 days, but I have to say, I still feel the quality here is overall very good. The level of effects, for example, although they use sparsely throughout the film, and there are a couple of instances where they look a little bit CGI, are all pretty good and very effective and look quite horrific, especially when we see these quite gruesome death scenes. I also thought the main actress here, Anney, Reese, does a pretty good job in the fact that she can't really say anything through this movie. It's a little bit like Black Bolt in a way from Marvel, if you kind of are familiar with that. So she has to really rely on her body language and kind of her physical acting, and does a pretty damn good job here. And I've got to say that kind of the makeup effects in regards to her being sick as well are all pretty good. But what really drove this story was the kind of the original kind of the plot concept, and the premise where we can't have this woman can't speak and she can't do anything, because if she does, ultimately people will pay the price, and pay they do. So what didn't work for this film? There was a little bit of wobbly acting here and there from some of the supporting characters, and there seems to be one character that has a lot of screen time for no real reason. I don't really know why they have so much screen time, because their character is very kind of peripheral to the actual plot. And I've got to say, the main issue I have is the ending of it is somewhat convoluted. When we kind of get to the resolution about what happens, I don't really feel like it tells an audience exactly what has actually transpired and what it kind of means for the story. And that is my only real legitimate criticism of this film. But overall, this is a good, scary, original horror film that has a kind of quite a unique concept and executes it in a pretty good, damn good fashion. It's not really a jump scary film, although there are definitely some scary moments here, and it's a real atmosphere and dripping with kind of supernatural horror. Definitely check this one out. I would recommend this film. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me comments, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Sleep tight.